Welcome to pattern making class. I'm your college instructor, Annette Julie, also a fashion designer and production pattern maker to the garment industry. And today we will be working on patterning a contour draft based off of your torso block. So what you can see here is I have my front torso and my back torso. These are in hard paper, so it's easy for me to trace them off and make a copy. So we're going to trace it off and make a copy, and then we're going to work on making our contour draft. So let's see, we're going to need some writing implements, a ruler, our pattern weights, your block. This does not include seam allowance, but it does include ease. And some tape. Let's go ahead and get started. So I have here a piece of pattern paper. This has a grid on it. And we're going to go ahead and draw a set of goalposts. And so I had this laid out the way that I wanted, but I'd like to show you. We're going to make goalposts so that when we lay both of these out, we have a little bit of room in between. And right where we have this, the front here, we're going to make a line there to go up ahead and place the front torso on. And if you have an L square ruler, you can certainly use that to form the goalpost or the right angle that we're going to make in a second here. But since I have this pattern paper that's a grid system, really easy to draw straight lines and to go ahead and draw my right angle here. Drawing all the way over here to the other side. And this is going to be our shared hemline. And then the line that I'm making now is going to be to set the back of the torso against. This is a grain line as well. Great, so we've got a front line here, a hemline, and another line to put the back on. That's going to line up there. That's going to line up here. Now, here we have the apex, which is the apex of our bust mound, which is a circle here. And we're going to need to go ahead and make a little compass for our project. So I have a piece of hard paper. This is like manila. And I'm going to grab a clear plastic ruler. And I'm going to make this compass 1 inch wide. And I can make it 5 or so inches long. Doesn't need to be too long. If I need to shorten it up, I will, but we're going to start with this being 5 inches. Then I'm going to draw a line down the center. And I'm going to cut this out. Almost finished. Great. So when we copy this off, we're going to use this as a compass to place here on the apex and trace off a circular bust mound. So let's start at one end, and I'm going to mark in 1/2 inch. And this is going to be the part that I'm going to pivot from. I'm going to use a sharp implement. This is an awl, A-W-L. Don't poke your finger. I want to make a hole through there. And then now we need to see what is the bust mound radius, and I had already determined that this was 2 3/4 inch. So 2 3/4 inch away, I'm going to make another hole. Don't puncture your finger. And if I want, I can cut off the rest, or you can keep that on there. So this is our compass, and we're ready to go. And the measurement is 2 3/4 inch for the size 8. If you're at a size 10, we'd make this at 3 inches, a size 12, 3 1/4, a size 6, 2 1/2, a size 4, 2 1/4, etc. Okay, so keep that compass, put it aside. Now let's take your front and line it up with the hem. Line it up here at our center front grain line. This is a goalpost that we have formed. And you can use pattern weights or little cans of tuna or Campbell's soup cans, however, whatever you have around to keep it in place. Now we're going to trace off the outer edge. And if you use a pen, make sure you don't scribble all over your pattern. Like here you can see a mistake was made. So what you can do to help is to have a ruler against the edge so it helps to hold the pattern down. Let's trace off our neckline. Let's trace off our shoulder. Going to trace off our armhole, including the armhole notch. Let's trace off our side seam bust notch. Trace this down to the hem. Now we need to go ahead and transfer these darts here. And if we don't have holes in our block, we can take our little awl and we can punch holes. Like I already have a hole here, but I'm just showing it's going to punch right through here, through the outermost points. And that's where you're going to be transferring the dart from. The outermost points of the dart on the dart legs. Here at the waist, down here at the tips that I just showed you. And then we have the side bust dart. We'll transfer that. Let's make sure that hole is good enough. Yep, that looks pretty good. For the dart tip and the apex. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can see all my markings here. Here's the dart tip, apex, dart tip. Before I pull this pattern up, I want to make sure I can see everything. So let's see. Yep, here we go. Dart tip. There's that dart tip. Good, this looks good. So we can pull up that front and go ahead and draw our dart legs in. Side bust dart. Our torso dart. People also call this a fisheye dart. Torso meaning it goes the full length of your torso as opposed to just going only to the waist. We're just drawing our dart legs in. And then here we have our apex. Let's go ahead and pop a grain line on here. Even though this is a grain line, but it's going to be right against the edge of the pattern. So we're going to go in 1 inch and make a parallel grain line. Draw this grain line the full length of the pattern. Arrows going both directions. Okay, and this is going to be our front. Contour torso draft. Okay, we haven't done any manipulation. All we've done is some tracing, but that is the start of it. Let's go ahead and position the back torso block on the back grain line and the hem. Got pattern weights. This looks good. Let's start tracing off. And like I was saying, you can always use a ruler to hold things down and make sure you don't draw all over your pattern. So we're on our side seam. Also too, if a line isn't straight anymore, it helps you to make sure it's a nice straight line. Copied our side seam. Notice I moved the pattern around to be able to work with it. Move the paper. Let's do our armhole and our armhole notches. Now we're going to do our back shoulder off our torso. Let's do our back neck. Start marking our darts. Lift this up to make sure I've copied everything. That looks good. Now let's transfer the torso darts. I already have holes in here, but if I didn't, you can use a little awl. Sometimes the tip of your pen can work, or a push pin. The little awl is like a little mini ice pick. It's a very dangerous tool, but it can be very accurate. And we're making all of our marks from the tips and the outermost points. Let's make sure we have our marks. That looks good. Yep, I can see those at the waist. Great. Take our back up here. And let's go ahead and start connecting our dart legs. And our last dart leg for the torso darts, those are the ones that go the length, past the waist and above the waist. Now we're going to connect the shoulder dart legs. Great. And let's go ahead and pop on our grain line, one that's parallel to the one we just put, and we'll write our information on here. Get our arrows to go both directions. And this is our back. Contour, torso, draft. So all we've done at this point is copied everything off. We haven't made any corrections to make it into a contoured piece at this point. We're going to need our little compass to go on to the next steps. And we've gone ahead and we've put holes through our compass. And you're going to line this up with the tip of the dart. And you can take a pencil or a pen. And we're going to make a circle. Let me go ahead and weight the pattern down right now. And this is going to show us the mound of the bust. And there we have our circle with our compass. Came out pretty lovely. So this tells us the bust mount. And then we will move on to the next video.